Welcome to Three Blind Mike's podcast, sponsored by the Family Proud, Family Strong Network. Follow their journey as John J., the real hot rod, Cletrodamus and Portis the Assassin deliver the bottom line on the greatest pop culture entertainment debates of then and now. The Three Blind Mikes won't know the topic of the show until the show begins, which surely will lead to an unscripted and uncensored good time. Now, let's go in blind on the road to nowhere.
All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Three Blind Mike's podcast. I'm your host, John J., the real hot rod, and I said John J., the real hot rod. And today with me, folks, is my brother-in-law, Portis the Assassin, who once, let me tell you this, who once sought out Lee Harvey Oswald. I think the Miller Lite's already kicking in. Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah, Lee Harvey Oswald. Put it together.
Yeah.
Come on.
Thank you. Lee Harvey Oswald's tennis shoes. How you doing, my brother?
I'm great. That was boy, you were really reaching for that one, weren't you?
I was.
Lee Harvey Oswald, I do think he wore, I don't know if he wore tennis shoes. He was such a piece of crap. He probably was like, no, I'm good. I'm not wearing that.
No, I think he wore those Bobos.
Oh, what are those?
Oh, you don't remember Bobos? Okay, let me explain to the folks what Bobos is. Okay.
Yeah, what are Bobos?
Bobos is when I was growing up, my mama and dada, bought me the cheapest shoes on the market, and I had to go to school with them. They were like light blue with stripes all over them and these stupid big shoelaces, and everybody made fun of me. Everybody had Nikes, Pumas, Adidas, and everything, and I had these Bobos.
Well, you want to hear something else that's really kind of, it's a sad story. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah. Let's grace it.
Yeah.
Come on.
So my mother, which is your mother-in-law, there is nothing cool about my mother. Okay, nothing. She's not cool. She wouldn't claim to be cool. I mean, she's the 1800s are calling. Let's just put it that way. But I was in 7th grade, and my mother wanted to get me some shoes to go to school. And me being the piece of crap that I am, the piece of crap, self-centered, fill in the blank.
Whew. I
saw the brand new Jordans, and I'm talking. I'm talking about the white ones, where they were white and they were wrapped around and whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like probably the 2nd edition or 3rd. And they were $103.
Oh my God.
$103, and we're talking 1990, maybe 91.
Oh, that was expensive.
Yeah. So I said, Mom, she's like, what shoes do you want? And there's like all these shoes. And me being the piece of, self-centered narcissist that I am, I said, I want those Jordans right up there. And she's like, well, they're $103. And I'm like, oh, are they? I didn't even see the price tag. And she bought them.
Dang.
And I took them and I started wearing them. Do you know what I did with those shoes? So the next day, I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and he lived right next to this muddy hill.
Mm.
And I decide, because I'm just brilliant, I'm going to take my brand new shoes that I just got, and I'm going to go up this hill. And they were completely, when I got done, they were so mud-caked. They were so they had like grass stains all over them. And I wore them to school, and I went to this Catholic school, and everybody, and they had a rule. The first half, so there's two semesters, right? The fall and the spring, right?
Yeah.
In the fall or in the spring, I can't remember which, you got to wear tennis shoes. You didn't have to wear the nice shoes, the church shoes.
Yeah.
They're really
That
uncomfortable.
hurts your feet?
Yeah, they're real uncomfortable bastards. So they would wear and they were all rich. This kid's got the new Shaq pumps, and this right here, he's got this, and I got the Jordans. The only problem is my Jordans look like I just took a dump on them. And I smeared all my feces all over the shoes. And that's the first thing they zero in on. They're like, "What the hell happened to your shoes?"
Yeah, like.
And
savages.
I'm like, what do you mean? And I would go to the shoe store, and I would get that. It's called like Kiwi or something like that. It was like a whitener.
Yep.
And I would try to whiten out the thing, and then I got like this rag, and I'd sand it, and trying to buff it in so it looked natural, and it looked like crap. Let me tell you, man. Let me tell you, and if you're listening at home, don't do this. Those shoes today are worth thousands and thousands of dollars.
They are.
Would have never touched them if I would have just put them in a box, maybe worn occasionally. I could probably put one of my sons through college with that. But no, I didn't even have the decency to grab a bag and just slip it over the shoes. Not that they would have protected it any better, but oh no, I had to go up a muddy hill. So that's my shoe story. Anyway.
Oh, $103 later, brother.
And she didn't blink an eye. I was thinking how am I gonna ask her? This is a lot. Can I get the Jordans up at the top? Yeah, we can do that. I was like, what planet? What spaceship abducted my mother, took her aboard their spaceship, and implanted some fake mother on this planet? But she did it. I'm like, you know what? She should get a lot of props for that because. And then me being the piece of crap that I am, I just said, "Oh, did you spend $103 on this? Watch this. I'm gonna ruin. I'm gonna absolutely ruin these shoes."
Anyway, but at least you broke them in, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Unfortunately, I am so sorry. We took this time away from our third guest. Our third co-host. Oh, wait, I forgot. First of all. We don't have a third third blind mic. We have Cletrodamus, who's on assignment and couldn't join us today.
Yeah. Is that the cover? You're covering for him with that one? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to do my best.
Yeah, you're doing some heavy lifting there, my man.
Then Mr. Fried Rice, who's a stand-in, he has so much homework.
I'm familiar with fried rice. Did you know that I called fried rice?
No, did you? Uh-oh.
No, the other day I'm like, because I couldn't, I'll just throw myself on the sword. I know Damas is doing covert operations in, Malaysia or something. Couldn't be here. Here's why I couldn't do the show yesterday because that's when we recorded it.
Yeah.
I was too busy counting pennies on the floor.
Oh my God.
I got this change jar, and I'm like, I'm so broke at the moment, and I'm looking for money anywhere I can get it. And so I was literally on the floor of my townhouse that I can barely afford now, and I'm just like, and I'm just like, okay, that's $1. And I also was downloading music into my phone. That's been my new kick. I know you were talking about Elvis yesterday or whatever it was. My kick right now is putting all of these covers, songs that other artists do, and I just was building a playlist. So I was counting pennies on the floor in my underwear, by the way, and I was building a playlist. So fried rice. I called him and I wanted to say, look, you are representing me. blind mics, but you're going to step in and you're going to be the assassin. Okay?
Yeah.
So you better bring it. You better bring it. And did he bring it?
Actually, he did a really good job for his first time.
Oh, yeah, because I was so livid and so angry. I was like, I'm not going to listen to him. I'm not going to listen to Fried Rice's contribution to our show. No, actually, I couldn't I couldn't click on the link wouldn't open up or something like that. I did actually want to.
Oh my goodness!
But anyway,
All right.
yeah, let's let this roll. I know Damas is he's doing covert operations in Malaysia, or he's going to his daughter's soccer game or some crap. Yeah, real important stuff. Let's keep it in perspective.
Oh. All right, folks.
Yeah, let's let it roll, man. Come on, let's do it.
We just took you on the road to nowhere. All right, folks. As usual, we don't know what the topic of the show is going to be until the show gets started. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the randomizer where we previously, all of us came up with a bunch of topics, put them in a randomizer, and we're going to go to that right now online, randomizer.com. And here we go.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And the topic is, oh my goodness. All right, here we go. What dead celebrity would you like to go back in time machine and prevent their passing?
Oh, geez. That was all me.
Oh,
somebody. I don't. Did I do that one?
I think you did.
I guess we all wrote these questions and then we threw them in the randomizer. Yeah, that's so assassin.
That is so assassin. And
well, I'll tell you what. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go?
Yeah, let me go first. And for folks, and for you guys to know is, we do this show on a split of a dime. Right now, I'm at home. Oh wait, well first we have to say what we're drinking. I know you're not drinking anything right now, are you? Because you're driving right now, right?
That was a tough question. No, hold on. I was drinking before, and I can walk a straight line. So okay. No, my drink of choice right now. Then you can go. My drink of choice right now is. Have you ever heard of a Colorado Bulldog?
No, but it sounds really cool.
So basically, I ordered one last night, and I was like looking up the ingredients, and I was trying to give them to the bartender, and whatever. And, I said, "Do you know how to make a Colorado Bulldog?" She's like, "Oh yeah, I've made it before." So she makes it up, and I was trying to explain it to this other patron, and she was there with Coke in it.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, it's an ounce of vodka, and then you put some Baileys in there, and then she's like, yeah, it's a White Russian with Coke. And I'm like,
I never heard of that.
Thanks for raining on my
because actually one of my favorite drinks is White Russians because it tastes like chocolate milk.
Yeah, and that's and then and a Colorado Bulldog that tastes like sweet milk. That's it. But it's deceptive. I mean, you drink that, and when you start the drink, you're very sophisticated, and you love the world, and then by the time you get to the end of that glass, you're like, "What are you saying to me?" I mean, so.
And we're back.
Oh God, yeah, we're back. I can't remember what I was saying. So just yeah. What are you drinking, John?
So my drink of choice right now, brother, is because we on a low budget right now is Miller Lite. But previously, I was drinking a little bit of Paisano wine.
Paisano wine.
It's Italian.
Is that Italian?
Yeah. It's Italian.
You didn't have. I'm dumb, but I ain't that dumb. You didn't have to tell me that. It's Italian. Anyway.
All right.
You want to get into these topics? Or
yeah, let's get into this topic.
Because we're going to lose our signal, and so let's just get into it.
Yeah. So basically, if you had to go back in time a time machine, what actor would you basically not want to die?
Was it actor Just like a person.
It was an actor.
Oh, okay. All right, go ahead. Well, you want to go, or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I'll go. You know what? the one person that comes to mind is Chris Farley.
Oh, wow, that's a good one.
Yeah, Chris Farley. I remember from Saturday Night Live. You know, the van down by the river was one of my favorite skits. Chris Farley, I think, was one of the most underrated comedians, actors of all time. This guy gave his body, his mind, his soul to everything that he did. You know, from movies with one of my favorite movies with Chris Farley. Do you remember Beverly Hills Ninja?
I didn't see that one.
Beverly Hills Ninja. Okay. What about Black Sheep? That's another one of mine. Tommy Boy.
I did see Black Sheep, and my problem with Black Sheep is it's Tommy Boy 2. It
is.
It's Tommy Boy 2, and apparently the backstory to this is that they made Tommy Boy 1. They made Tommy Boy, and then they were approached, of course, because it was so successful, to do another movie.
Yeah,
and apparently David Spade didn't want to really do it, and Chris Farley, he said, "You decide." He put all the power on Chris Farley.
Right.
And they started reading the script, and Chris Farley wanted to do it, and he's like, "Oh, damn, okay, fine." And they did it.
And to kind of piggyback off of my one of my people, is John Belushi, who
That's another one,
who Chris Farley idolized. Now, I think my favorite movie of John Belushi is him and Dan Aykroyd and the Blues Brothers, of course. But I don't know if you remember this one. It was like kind of a war movie. It was like a.
Are you gonna say 1941?
Yes, I love that movie.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting that you like it, because it's one of the few Spielbergs like just collapsed. I mean, it just bombed. I mean, it was just such a bomb. And what's interesting about that movie is that when Spielberg is doing the Raiders of the Lost Ark, he takes a device that he used in 1941, where Christopher Lee has this thing, and it's a I can't even think of the right word. It's like a hanger, and he puts his jacket on the hanger. It's like a transportable hanger. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like what you would put your jacket on. And for whatever reason, 1941 flops. 2, it just didn't hit. Confused by what he was doing. So he took that device and he used it for when the Nazi guy is coming into the bar, and he pulls out this big like thing, and they're like, "Oh, he's gonna do something. It's a weapon."
Yeah.
And it's really not. It's just he wants to put his jacket on the.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Even though that 1941 kind of flopped and everything, just with John Belushi, I just liked how he presented himself on screen, whether he's doing, movies, comedy, or whatever. He was unique. He was weird. He was, odd. And, I just related to him. I just thought he was just, there was nobody else like him. And, he just, he revolutionized, the big man, because there wasn't a lot of, large people of his stature, if you want to say, because I know you can't really say certain words nowadays.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You can't fat shame. Exactly.
Yeah. PHAT.
I know. the thing with him though is he was a little on the heavier side, and Chris Farley, of course, was also heavy. But they were so light on their feet. They were so
absolutely.
they were so agile, and they could move, and that's the sad thing about Chris Farley is that he was a physical comedian, and by the end of his life, I mean, he can't even get through a taping of Saturday Night Live without needing oxygen,
Right.
and he's 30. I think he was only 33 years old, or 32, or 31. I mean, he was very, very young.
Yeah, I think didn't he pass in the 90s?
He
94?
passed out, I want to say, in 95 or 96.
95.
Because I remember I think I was in college when he died, and it was like this, this thing. And
right. And my favorite skit that he did on Saturday Night Live is where he was dressed up in this like checkered flannel suit jacket with a green tie, and then he like threw himself on the friggin' coffee table, within the skit.
Oh yeah, man, the van down by the river, right?
Yeah, van down by the river. I mean, that's just ultimate and everything.
My favorite, I think there's two of them, Chris Farley sketches. Is the one where he's it's like a commercial for like freeze dried crystals or something like that. Some coffee. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
I think, yeah.
And it was that time when people like they would do like a hidden camera, and they would go up to somebody at a restaurant and go, excuse me. And they would go, yeah, what's up? And they're like, did you know that we replaced your coffee with freeze dried crystals? Yeah. And the person would be like, oh, this is really, it's freeze dried. And they'd be like, oh, let me have another one. Bring it, And so they go up to Chris Farley, and they're like, excuse me, sir, may I interrupt you? And he's like, yes, what is it? Real innocent. And he's like, we just replaced your coffee with Folger's House freeze-dried, something like that, freeze-dried crystals. And instead of like being interesting, he takes the opposite effect, and he's like, no, you lied to me. And he like breaks a glass, and he goes, he's he's like a monster. He becomes this monster who's terrorizing this restaurant. Yeah, and the wait staff come out of the kitchen, and they're trying to like beat him over the head with like a beer bottle or something. And he's, you lied to me. I think it was so. That's one. That's one that I like. The classic one of the Chippendales was.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
That was hilarious. And unfortunately, he died December 18th, 1997 in Chicago, Illinois. Yeah,
in the John Hancock building, I think. Right?
Yeah. And it was his cause of death was accidental opioid cocaine intoxication.
Yes.
Coronary.
Yeah, you almost got that out. Very good.
Yeah.
And the parallels to Belushi again are like, I mean, it's like eerie because apparently he met this. I don't know if she's a stripper or whatever. Mm-hmm. But Chris Farley meets this woman, and they go partying, and then he, what I don't know what the story is, but he collapses on the floor and he's in distress. And instead of like picking up the phone and calling 911, she snaps a photo of him dying on the floor, and she sells that photo to the National Enquirer for $100,000.
What a prostitute!
Yeah, I know. And John Belushi, had the kind of a thing where this woman came to his, he was in the that ritzy bungalow hotel. He was shooting a movie, or he was like going to LA to have meetings about something, and she injected him with like a speedball or something, and died. And if she would have just called 911, well, actually at that time they didn't have 911, but just called for help, maybe both of these men, these legends, could still be alive.
Yeah, and I think too is and also too is Belushi and Farley. They were jokesters, and maybe they thought they were just playing
Yeah,
around or
true.
whatever. But then when they realized they wasn't playing, then they thought, okay, this is some dollar signs, and we're going to go ahead and make some money off of this. And you know what? It's sad too is because Chris Farley, uh, Belushi, they're so talented and everything, and that lifestyle leads them into the drugs and alcohol and whatever and everything, and it just puts a damper on their true spirit because they're so gifted and making people laugh. And it still goes on today, with your now comedians and actors and everything. That's why I never pursued acting or movies or whatever. I just didn't want that lifestyle, because I was so talented back in the day. Do you remember the Life cereal?
Mickey, Mickey, he'll eat anything. That
Yeah, the
one.
Mikey. Well, I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
up for that role, right? And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I was like 2.5, and I was up for that role. And
Now,
my mama was,
I mean, keep going. I want to hear all this.
yeah, my mama was my agent, and my mama said, I don't want my son, living in that life, and I don't trust you people to use my son. That's why I never, did that Mikey commercial.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Boy, that was because you could have, my all my nephews and nieces could probably have gone to, like Harvard or Princeton
Oh,
or Yale or
absolutely, absolutely. So I listen. So I shouldn't have listened to my mama.
No, that was one of the times when you should have said, Mama,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do
Mm.
that. I'm gonna do this. I know I'm only 6, but
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna do the commercial. Oh no,
Yeah.
you're not. And then
Yeah.
you get in a car with a strange person and you drive without it. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever eaten the cereal Life?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
It's
Um,
horrible. It
is
tastes
it?
like sweet cardboard.
Well, I'll tell you a story about cereal if we're
Mm.
since I mean I don't want to segue from the topic. I know I
Oh
get
no, no,
accused of
no,
that a
no.
lot.
This is
I went no. This is a good one. So I went to there's this chain of stores. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called Target.
Oh, Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, Target. And I go to Target, and I had a hankering. I mean, I needed it now, and I wanted Count Chocula cereal,
Oh my gosh.
which
I
is
love that.
that's my favorite sugary cereal. I
Oh,
love
got
it.
Dracula.
Yeah, and I went up to some guy, some person who's probably like, he's a seasonal help. He doesn't care about anything, and doesn't like nowadays. Like if you like, because of this generation, and it's a shame that fried rice isn't on because his generation sucks. Like
Yeah,
his
yeah.
generation and some of my other nieces and nephews or whatever, their generation sucks. And why do they suck? Because they can't talk to people.
Exactly. They
To
on that damn phone.
and on the phone, and they can't talk. It's too scary. It's too real. It's too
Yep.
personal. Too So I go up to this guy and I say, "Do you guys have any? I've been up and down this aisle. Like, where's the Count Chocula?" And he's like, "What's that?" And I'm like,
Oh.
like Count Chocula cereal. It's marshmallows. And he's like, "Never heard of it." And I've got to stop. Now I've got to stop, and I've got to say, "You're pulling my leg. You have never heard of Count Chocula cereal?" He's like, "No." And I'm like, it's got marshmallows. It's got the little ghosts. And no, he's like, no. And I'm like going up and down this aisle. And where is the Count Chocula? The Yummy Mummy, I get it. It wasn't very popular.
No, no,
Okay.
it died.
Booberry, not good.
Nope.
Frankenberry, it had a nice little run, but now we don't even think about it anymore. But
Nope.
Count Chocula was the put a couple letters there.
Yeah.
It was the so, and I honestly I didn't get the Count Chocula, and I'm not going to go all over the stores going, please, I need the Count Chocula. Do you have any? Like I'm not a junkie. Anyway, but yeah, he didn't know what I was talking about. Where were we with this? I think we segued somewhere.
Yeah, we segued.
So now I get to tell you my dead celebrity that I want.
Yeah. What dead celebrity would you want to go back in time to dig up?
Dig up and prevent their life ending.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, first off, I'm a very morbid man. I'm not a morbidly obese man. I'm very svelte. I'm not, but I'm very morbid. The things that I enjoy, like I like death and stuff like that. I shouldn't. Like I like serial killers and looking them up and stuff like that.
Just to get educated.
And find out what was their fatal flaw.
Yeah, what they think, why they think the way they do.
Yeah, and why they screwed up. And here's I'll tell you what. If you're again, you can dump this. If you're thinking about carrying out like a killing or assassinating somebody, here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to commit the act, and then you go to a local bar and you're sitting there and they're running a story about it. Oh, man killed and blah blah blah. They haven't found the killer. You don't want to go, hey, you see that story up there? That was me. I did that. And somebody says, well, no, nobody would do that. That's stupid. No. There was a spree killer in Phoenix who did that. He would just randomly drive up to people and just shoot them.
Really?
And and just and sometimes he would drive his bike and he, somebody would be waiting for the bus and they were always seconds away from getting him.
Damn.
He slipped through their grasp. And
this was This
is 100% true. I think it's the Phoenix serial or spree killer or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And how did they catch him? He was at a bar one night and he gets lit up, and they, of course, it gripped Phoenix. It went on for months. It went on for almost a year, I think, and they hadn't caught the person. And they were running a story about it, and he's like, "See that story? That's me. I'm doing that." And most people at the bar or whatever thought, he's drunk, but there was one person that went, you know what? I'm going to call this in, and he calls the police, and the police like find who the guy they're referring to, and they stake it out, and they arrest.
Oh my God!
Don't do that. Well, first of all, you shouldn't do it to begin with. But if you're gonna do it, anyway, well, let's get back on track. Celebrities that I would not want dead. I had this thing. It was really cool, and they don't make it anymore. But you know how people used to have those desk calendars, and every day you tear off a page.
Yeah.
And most people, it's a cute cat, and it's a guy who does the shoebox. It's a different joke, and for me, it was called the Dead Celebrity Calendar, and every day on that, let's say what's today? What is today? It's the 25th of
Tuesday of May
April.
Yeah.
April. So it's April 25th, and on that day, that would be a celebrity who had died, or a figure, somebody that who had died on that day, and this is how they died, and so I would read them again, and I'd go back and I loved it, and I got.
Who's the celebrity?
I got hold on, don't cut me off, okay? I got to, man, where's Damas when you need him? My God. No, I got like 2 editions of it, and then they stopped making it, and I'm like, ugh, there's tons of dead celebrities. Let's go. But okay, so who do I want? This is a tough one because there's so many great dead celebrities that you wish you could just whisper and go, hey. I hate to tell you that, but you're gonna die of an overdose in a bathtub in Paris. You're kidding. You're kidding. No, nope. You're gonna die, dude. All right. So I don't watch a lot of movies. I know Damas, he watches all the movies.
Yes.
And his reviews are completely, utterly atrocious. I mean, they're just awful. And he's like, "Oh, this is the greatest movie," and if he tells you that,
3 people watched it.
yeah, book it, because it's the worst movie you've ever seen, or it's not as good. It's like 2 stars, and he's giving it 5.5, and earmarking it for legend status and whatever, Damas. Oh, you know what I meant to say? Because like I've been listening to some of the previous episodes, and Damas cuts you off a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of like what wrestler had that like choke slam. Who's a good wrestler who had the choke?
Sid Vicious.
Just a good one. Didn't Big Show have like a nice big choke slam?
He had a great one too.
He interrupts me one more time on this little podcast. I am gonna choke slam him. I'll go to Sid Vicious's house. Maybe he has a gym. I'm like, you need to teach me how you do that. And here, come on in.
The Undertaker too had a great
did he?
choke slam.
Okay, well, I'll stick with Sid Vicious's. He's probably cheaper. I could get his services for you.
He needs the money, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anyway. Okay. So I was watching, that movie Blonde that came out, the movie about Marilyn Monroe.
I didn't see that one.
Blonde?
No.
Oh, come on, dude. Here I am criticizing you for not seeing a movie, and I haven't seen any of them. Little pot calling the kettle. Anyway, yeah. Well, it's a very good movie. It's about Marilyn Monroe. It stars some, like, I think she's Cuban, and
see,
you got some problems with that or what?
No, I was just speaking Spanish. See.
Oh, right. That's funny. Did you just come up with that? Oh my God. Well, that's the thing. There's all this, where white people can't play other, like, so a white person can't play, like in West Side Story, like you can't play like a Puerto Rican,
right,
whatever. But if you're a Cuban or Puerto Rican, you can play a white person. Do you see how it goes there? Anyway. Let me just get to this, and before we get canceled, let me get this out. So I'm watching this movie, and she's very good in this. If you want to look it up, I can't think of the actress's name. I mean, I'm not doing any research for this show. She's incredible, and it was such a shame because Marilyn Monroe was just used. They just used her.
Oh, big time.
Kennedy used her. He and then Bobby, then he's like, when he's done with her, he sends his brother, like, go break up with her. And then, the story goes that Bobby Kennedy starts sleeping with Marilyn Monroe. And then he's like, oh, what did I do? Oh God. And everybody just used her, and she was just used. She was a piece of property. And then she was married to that awful. I mean, he's a great playwright. Arthur Miller is a great playwright. He's a horrible human being. Like, you can't say that about him. I'm gonna say it about Arthur Miller. You got a problem with that? He's a horrible human being. Look at his track record. Whatever. But we'll get back onto the topic. He used her, and then Joe DiMaggio used her, and then she got raped, and then the studio used her, and then her mother was using her because she was trying. Her mother was like a schizophrenic, and she's like all over the crew. So I would want to save Marilyn Monroe.
Wow.
I would want to save her. Now, I'm a huge Doors fan, so I would want to. And I know if you play this for fried rice, Doors, what's that? I've got a door in the front door. No, it's a band, dummy. Anyway, just criticizing my nephew. I'll call him names.
Fried rice.
But the door. Yeah, fried rice. Yeah, the Doors were this revolutionary band They lasted from 1965 until 71 is when Morrison dies in Paris. So they have a very short lifespan.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this the other way. Now, do I want Jim Morrison to be dead, or do I want him to have lived, and then he could make more crappier songs, and then he was going to make apparently he was going to make this really crappy movie, and he had this girlfriend who was like a heroin addict, and do I want them to live or do I want them to die? I think I'm going to save Marilyn, and I want Jim to die. And the reason is because like with like Nirvana, we never saw a bad Nirvana album. I mean, you can argue about it. You can say Bleach isn't as good as this, or whatever. But they had a short life, and then they didn't come out with like some crappy like concept album that nobody liked, and whatever. And and with the Doors, the only thing you can really kind of point to where they made some kind of like, oh, that's it. Yeah, that's Gloria that you're playing in the background.
Gloria.
Yeah, they do a cover of Gloria, which is by the band Them, which is Van Morrison. Van Morrison's Them.
Yeah.
They do Gloria, and their version of it, the Doors, I think is better than Shadows of Night or Them or whoever did it. Their version is like, it's very X-rated, and you couldn't play. They tried to do it. I think they recorded that in like 1970, like right before Jim passes.
Yeah.
And they couldn't play it on the radio. It would never have worked. And it's a great song. I love that version. I love it better than the original Glory. But no, I think I want Jim Morrison to die. Because, just because I want the music to stay the way. Now, selfishly, I wish I could have seen Jim Morrison and the Doors like at the height of their powers, like when they were, like in 1965. And so some people like Damas is a big Back to the Future fan, and we always talk about like, what would you do? Would you go back in your DeLorean and Doc Brown, like what time? I would want to spend like a week just going back in 1965, 66, when the Doors are just, put out, their first studio album, and whatever, and just seeing them at the height of their powers, like, and I might not like it because I'm used to like the speakers actually working, and stuff like that. Because back then, I mean, the speakers would fail, and the microphone might not work, and
right,
and they didn't have the security, and but I think I'd kill Jim, and I would save Marilyn, and say, Marilyn, she's a tragic figure. Jim Morrison was kind of an asshole at times. Sorry, I know you don't like us cursing on the show, but he was a functioning alcoholic, very smart, but very destructive, very self-destructive, kind of like your Chris Farley, like
yeah.
And when you think about Chris Farley, and it also plays on us. I don't see junkie when I see Chris Farley. I see a guy who's maybe overweight, but I don't see a junkie, because you have this preconceived notion of what a junkie looks like, and it's not Chris Farley, but he was horribly addicted to drugs and alcohol, and but yeah, that probably.
And I always like these passings of these great entertainers, whether it's music, sports, movies, whatever, and everything, and you find out they passed away, and they were hooked on drugs and stuff like that and everything. And, I always think is, how did they allow themselves to get to that point? And this is my opinion is, it's the people around them, the people, their agents, their
the enablers.
The enablers. It says, oh, you got to keep going. You got to keep going. And it's, what, I got to take a break or whatever. No, you don't need to take a break. Hey, why don't you try doing a little bit of this or a little bit of that?
Well, you know what? It's interesting that you bring that up. I think I'm going to maybe change my. Can I change it again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Am I allowed to do that?
Oh yeah, this is
okay.
we're on the road to
Okay.
nowhere, brother.
No, Marilyn gets saved too. We're going to kill Jim Morrison. Screw you, Jim. So another movie that I saw, and this is something that my mother, your mother-in-law, she went and saw the Judy Garland movie that came out, and she's like, that Renee Zellweger is going to win the Oscar. And a lot of times my mom says some things, and I'm like, yeah, and I go, yeah, that's not okay, whatever. She was 100% right about that. Judy Garland was, I mean, oh my God, Louis B. I think they give out an award for Louis. There's a Louis B. Mayer Award, I think, that they give out. That MF, I mean, the award they should give out every year is a recipient should find Louis wherever Louis B. Mayer is buried and just use the bathroom on that grave. Like, he was such a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he forced people to have abortions. Gay guys had to get married. Judy, a drug addict. She's a drug addict. People say, well, she missed a lot of her shooting. Like they couldn't get she was fired from so many. Yeah, because she's a drug addict.
And this is the same.
Get out of bed.
And this is the same actress that did the Wizard of Oz.
And you just name them. And I know your wife loves Judy Garland. I mean, she used to do the Harvey Girls and Meet Me in St. Louis. And her husband. Let's talk about her husband. So her husband, it's really sad. I mean, it's so sad. I think she was married like 5 or 6 times. I think 3 of her husbands were gay. Her husband, the Vincent Minnelli guy, who's Liza Minnelli's father, he was an out gay man. And he was out. He was gay. Everyone, it was kind of this, no one talked about it, but he was gay. But then they get married and he's still, gay.
Yeah.
And he's having these gay liaisons with like his chauffeur and, and it's, I mean, it's like, oh my God, that poor woman. And then she died. And you know what she did when she died? I think she dies at like, I don't know, like what, 46 or 47 years old or something like that. She looked like she was 70. I mean, she was so old, and that
lifestyle just aged her too. And the abuse.
And she was an addict. I mean, she became dependent on these drugs and that they were giving her to perform.
Yeah, and I think it's because of the people that were around her that were using her to
her parents. My God,
especially her parents.
She was a cash cow. I mean, it's like, come on, you got to do another. I mean, and so I would say maybe we can save Judy. And Jim, sorry, you're dead. I want to save what's the guy, the martial arts guy? What's the
Bruce Lee?
Bruce Lee and his poor son. I mean, my God. I mean, talk about. I remember the actor.
Ironically,
the actor who shot Brandon Lee could never perform ever again.
Yeah,
it was this horrible accident, and it was just awful, and he never acted again. Every time he had like a role or whatever, and he would just bow out or something, and he wouldn't do it, or he just had these images of Brandon Lee tragically in The Crow, which one of my favorite moments with you is we went to see The Crow 2. Remember that?
Yes.
And that piece of crap, my God,
it was horrible.
It was the worst movie I think it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's probably one of the worst sequels ever.
Yeah, it was horrible. And I remember when the first Crow, came out. Brandon Lee. What I was really impressed with is he didn't do martial arts in that movie. He was just this big old vigilante.
He wasn't, he didn't use a lot of martial arts or whatever. And that persona transferred into one of wrestling's icons, Sting. I don't know if you remember
Oh
back in the
right, yeah, because he had that surfer character, right? And then
yeah
he switched it to
yeah he switched it to the Crow character, where all of a sudden you start seeing the wrestler Sting in the face paint with the crow, the black jacket with the crow, and he would be up in the rafters
yeah.
for like months and months before he started wrestling. He didn't say a word. He carried a baseball bat or whatever, and he took on that crow character. And
Well,
that
now that we're on the side, okay, oh my God, you just
uh-oh
did something here.
oh
You brought up Sting, so now I got to go back and I got to think about this.
yeah.
Owen Hart,
Oh,
what a tragedy that was. My God,
yeah.
Owen Hart. I want to save Owen too. I want to say, hey, look, that harness that Vince wants you to wear, it's gonna kill you.
Well, you know what? I remember. I think that was that a pay-per-view at King of the Ring?
I know it was some kind of pay-per-view.
It was a pay-per-view, but I
And
remember watching that, and he and Owen was like the blue. He had a blue
Blazer.
mask, blue blazer.
It was the blue blazer, yeah.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, you saw him start coming down from the rafters, like Sting was,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden he fell, and you heard a thug, and the cameras automatically,
Do they go up to the sky, right?
yeah, they go up the sky, and you hear Jerry the King Lawler. um I remember this plain as day. I said, oh my God, something's happened. And it's like there was this pause because nobody knew what to do. And they just focused on the announcers, and the announcers were doing the best that they can because they knew something bad was that happened. And at that time they thought, oh, he fell and he's probably injured or whatever like that. Then all of a sudden, the announcers saw the referees reactions, and they knew, he passed. He
Yeah,
passed.
I think I watched something about that, like because I have an aversion to death. Although I just told you that I love death, and
Mm,
yeah, I have an aversion to death. I don't like to go visit people when they're kind of dying, and it's something that I'm kind of ashamed of in some ways because when people are at those last moments in their life, and
yeah.
and they don't go suddenly, they're kind of
Suffering.
they need that little glimmer of hope or whatever, and you coming by and saying hi, and I have such an aversion to it. It's really something I'm actually very ashamed of. But now where am I going with this?
Mm.
I just totally lost it. What were you talking about? Gotta stop
About
drinking.
no. It's the Miller Lake.
Yeah, I'm like, what were we talking about? I can't even remember. Oh,
You're
something
asking.
about Jerry the King Lawler. So Jerry
Yeah.
the King Lawler is doing the broadcast, and he goes down to the ring, and he apparently like says a prayer, or
Hmm.
he just witnesses, Owen Hart's final breaths or whatever. And I remember he told that story, and I almost got emotional hearing him talk about it. Like,
Right.
it's just such a shame. And shame on Vince McMahon. Shame on him. Shame on him for continuing that damn show. It's just so sad. And,
Yeah.
you
They
know,
should have stopped the show.
I mean, shame
Uh,
on him. And there's always been these urban legends. I think you'll see it on YouTube that, well, image. This is the moment when Owen Hart goes plummeting to the ring. And it's never the video that it's clickbait,
right.
some whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna save Owen Hart.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? And shame on WCW and Sting, because they continued to do the repelling from the rafters.
Well, you think
even
that
after that.
no one would want to do that after that. My God,
No.
remember when Shawn Michaels came down and he's on a zip line and it's like zzz, you'd think that everyone would be like, I just saw Owen Hart die. I think I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, even doing it, out of the respect for the Hart family.
Yeah.
And I know even after that, the Hart family, I think they tried to even sue.
No, they did. His widow got a nice little settlement out of that.
Yeah.
Vince had to pay. This is might even lose the WWF. I mean, it was the WWF, I think, at the time. It wasn't the
Yeah,
WWE.
it was the
He's getting
WWF.
close to losing. He's got to settle with the widow. Owen Hart dies. He's lost Hogan. He's lost the Warrior. He's lost Randy Macho Man. He's lost all these people to WCW.
Yeah.
And my God, I mean, and then Bret Hart, your biggest talent, goes and jumps ship too. And then his brother, I think, stayed, right? He didn't join Bret.
Right.
And he died. And if I'm Bret Hart, I can totally understand him never wanting to see Vince McMahon, never wanting to talk to him.
Yeah.
Some people say, "Oh, you got to let it go." That's your brother. Your brother died. In some cases, people say he was murdered. Negligence. And so, yeah, I mean, if I'm Bret Hart, I'm saying wants me not to get over it because I'm not going to get over it.
Right. Well, Bret Hart and the family, they resented Vince McMahon and the WWF at that time, for Owen's death. But after a while, the only one out of the family that made peace with McMahon and the WWF was Bret. For whatever reason, but still to this day, that's still got to be a bad feeling for the Hart family.
I think I might have the story right. I may have the story wrong, but there's supposed to be a meeting in a park with Bret Hart and Vince McMahon.
Oh, okay. I heard
and he wanted the footage of that whole event. He wanted the masters, and so it didn't fall into this sick society that we are in now, where you post anything online and
it's glorified.
Hey, do you want to watch Owen Hart die? Hey, come here. It'll get a million likes. And, I just got 1 million likes because I posted Owen Hart's death. Oh my God. And it's like, oh my God. We could talk about this forever, I think.
Oh, I know.
Do you want to do a show that just goes on forever and it never ends? We just talk. We don't need Damas. We don't need fried rice. We don't need what is your daughter going to be calling themselves? Like laugh what fiddle faddle or fiddle and faddle. Let's do the show. You won't work. You're like, honey, can you come down? No, doing the show. We'll just never stop this show. We'll just keep going, and I'll have this big long beard. I'll have this big long beard, and I'll never brush my teeth.
But you know what? On the topic of wrestlers that passed, that I wish I can go back in time, is the Macho Man.
Oh yeah,
who died in a car crash. I tell you what, the Macho Man I really liked because he was one of the most intense individuals that you can even see. He kept it real.
He was great.
What you saw in wrestling, that was him. He didn't play a character. The Macho Man. He was the Macho Man. He was very intense individual.
Yeah, he. Oh my God, he was great. And the thing about it is, though, I was watching what was his brother's name? Lanny Poffo? Is that his brother's name?
Yeah, Leaping Lanny Poffo.
Yeah, the genius.
The genius.
So the story goes that Macho Man is doing that Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
And he had always done bumps. He'd done he spent like 30 years doing like stunts in the ring or whatever it was. He'd do these bumps and whatever. And the way it was supposed to go was double do it.
Yeah.
And out of some kind of pride or, macho man kind of attitude. See what I did there? Yeah. He decides to do it himself. And he ends up injuring himself. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I think he had to like take painkillers and whatnot. I mean, for the remainder of it, for the remainder of his life. Yeah. And he should have just trusted his instincts and said, you know what? I'm not going to do the stunt. You do the stunt. It's your movie. And it was a shame. It was really sad. Yeah. Miss Elizabeth's another one. If you want to go down the wrestling rabbit hole,
well,
she's another one that I think I posed a question. I hope we get to it down the road. We won't reveal it right now, but I think it was like the most mysterious like characters in wrestling, and for me, Elizabeth is one of them. She's such an enigma. Nobody knows who she is.
Right.
Like was she actually married to Randy Savage? And yes, she was. No, she wasn't. Or she was married to him, but by the time they actually got married on camera, they were broken up and they were barely speaking. And
the thing is, and and that's one of our topics. One of my topics, that I put in a randomizer and everything, and I'll just touch base on Miss Elizabeth. You know what, Miss Elizabeth, I think they used her as a prop. You got Randy Macho Man Savage on, character, and it's probably like this in real life and everything. Basically, treated her like a garbage.
I mean, there's stories that he would lock her in the dressing room. He wouldn't let other men talk to her.
Yeah,
that character that he did, where George the Animal Steel's enamored with her, and he's like so fascinated by her, and that was real.
Yeah,
like he was so territorial of her, and we could do this show forever. Let's just do it forever. Let's never end the show.
It never end.
Well, there's the urban legend that Hulk Hogan had an affair with Miss Elizabeth, and Randy found out about it.
Yep.
Whether that's true or not, it's always been speculated and blah blah blah.
Let me ask you this, and this is a little trivia. Do you know who Miss Elizabeth's father was?
Oh no, I don't know that. No,
you don't know. Oh my goodness, folks! It was George the Animal Steel. That's his daughter, for real.
No, you're pulling my leg.
No, look it up. And actually, George the Animal Steel was some kind of professor in Pittsburgh.
No, Detroit, I think.
Was it? Okay, maybe.
No. This is a true story. So I had a football coach and a drama coach when I was in high school, and he was from the Detroit area, and his coach was George the Animal Steel.
Okay.
And he loved George the Animal Steel. I mean, he was, Gil Morrison's the coach's name. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago. But he would tell me stories about George the Animal Steel. That he's brilliant. He's playing this. He was brilliant. Like he's playing this dumb idiot, Neanderthal.
He was a professor.
But yeah, he was like had high IQ and very articulate. But no, I did not know that Miss Elizabeth is his daughter.
No, that's no lie. That's
really. I'm gonna have to look that up because I've never trusted any of your sources. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But then the tragic happened. That she was with Lex Luger.
And... I really like. I don't watch a lot of wrestling. And Fried Rice and I talked about it. Like over the weekend, I think, but I actually watched the last WrestleMania after so many years of not watching wrestling. But those documentaries they do are so damn good.
They are
like, oh my God, they do one on Lex Luger. I feel so sorry for him. Like I just like, and
he went from all that muscle to thin and
gaunt,
in that
barely,
wheelchair, man.
and he can't walk, right? He's trying
No.
he wants to be inducted into the Wrestling
Hall of Fame. And you know what he does? He and I think he even said this. He holds himself responsible for Elizabeth's death. Because they were
they were addicts.
They were addicts,
drug addicts. Yeah. I mean, I think the knee jerk when we talk about wrestling deaths that we'd like to prevent. I mean, the Chris Benoit tragedy. I guess you could kind of throw that in there, just because what he did.
Yeah.
He murders his family and whatnot, and
yeah. And a lot of people have a lot of negative thoughts about that, but my thinking is what made him snap like that. Sure, there was probably drugs.
Well, I think it's that damn concussion syndrome.
Yeah, the concussion,
like the constant concussions, and
and here's the thing,
and the painkillers. You got to take the painkillers,
but
so you get in the ring.
How about the pressure that probably was put on him by the organization that he wrestled for? I mean, nobody wants to take that into consideration, and I'm not trying to put blame on the WWF, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But they put pressure on these wrestlers that can do these amazing things, and as a wrestler, it's like, okay, they want me to do this and there. How am I going to continue to do this? Well, let me go ahead and start taking roids. Let me go ahead and start taking this.
Yeah.
And it has
is if there's because I know, again, we're going down all these rabbit holes, but with the WWE and its current state of affairs right now, where Vince McMahon he's not in charge of it anymore, right?
Well, you know what? The WWE was just sold to a company called Endeavor. Okay. I believe that what it is. It's basically a company that runs other organizations like the UFC to make them a global entity. Okay, marketing and all this. But now, since the WWE was just recently sold, Vince McMahon is back in charge as an employee only.
Yeah.
But he's still.
I think when we're talking about Vince McMahon, and we are going to have to wrap it. I have a family and I got a job orientation tomorrow. We've got to wrap this up. You son of a bitch. Anyway, for me, if he wants to redeem himself for me, is he can start taking care of these guys who literally paid the ultimate price with their bodies, with their, and give them insurance, like give them money and have a huge settlement, go back and make these guys whole, because, I mean, some of these guys are still doing these shows in these sweaty auditoriums, like in front of 5 people because they have no money.
Well, and here's the thing too is, okay, a lot of people are confused. Okay, you take let's just take let's take John Cena, for example. Okay. When he was in his prime wrestling, okay, making millions and millions and millions of dollars. Okay. Well, first of all, you got to minus taxes. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, you have to minus all the medical bills. The WWE doesn't provide any health insurance. So that the millions of dollars is reduced really, really severe, and it's not like they're, making a lot of money. You have to deduct all that stuff.
All right. Well, folks, this was great. I think we should just get rid of those other idiots.
Yeah, we should
we should just do this
show.
Two blind mics, Damas and fried rice and
let them do
fiddle faddle and whatever.
All right, folks. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next episode where we will lead you down to Miller Lake on the road to nowhere.
And don't forget Colorado Bulldog.
And Colorado Bulldog.
And that other thing that anyway. All right, man.
Cannabis. All right, brother.
All right. Love you.
All right. All right, be safe.
Bye.
The Three Blind Mics is sponsored by the Family Proud, Family Strong Network via YouTube and powered by the Digital Media Productions.